Greetings everyone. In this short video presentation, I will be discussing the topic of the power of emotions. Emotions are a very significant part of our human life experience. They're in a way a part of a feedback system for us to gauge how what's happening in our environment, in our external surroundings, relates to the beliefs, the ideas, the expectations, and values that we have. Every one of us has emotions that are helping create our life experience. It's been said that emotions are energy in motion, and like any other part of our consciousness, emotions are indeed a form of energy. They are waves waves of vibrational energy, and those waves ripple out into the field of energy that surrounds us. Those waves of energy are also rippling through our bodies, so they're having a significant effect or impact upon our physical health. It's understood in holistic medicine that pretty much any physical condition you have is likely to have an emotional component or cause. All forms of emotional stress are having an effect on your body. If we think about emotions as different patterns or waveforms, some of them are harmonizing and uplifting when we feel peace and joy, enthusiasm, when we feel bliss or excitement. That energy may be uplifting. Whereas if we feel fear, anxiety, anger or frustration, grief or depression, that energy is really quite constricting, at least if we maintain it for any significant period of time. If you were to observe a person's aura, their subtle energy field, you would notice the effect that emotions have. The more positive or higher vibratory emotions would tend to brighten and expand a person's aura, while some of the more negative, the more unpleasant types of emotions would tend to shrink the aura to make it appear more dull and less expansive. There may be some caveats or exceptions to that, such as when a person feels angry, they're actually getting a burst of energy from that anger, since that anger is innately designed to give us the power to react or respond to what we perceive as some type of injustice, some type of unfair treatment, something that we conclude is wrong or bad in some way. So having that anger would give someone energy to react or respond. However, if we remain in that mode, in that stimulated, reactive state, we tend to burn up our energy, we tend to get drained. So for the short term, it can give you that burst of energy, but if you maintain that state for a while, your energy field may appear more drained or weak. When we look at how emotions are created, it's important to realize that anything that's happening in our external environment is, in a sense, neutral. It doesn't have an inherent meaning to it. We are giving it a meaning based upon our own beliefs, our own values and priorities, our own sense of what we consider to be right or wrong or good or bad. Therefore, it's our own definitions of things, our own beliefs and preferences that are leading us to react in an emotional way to particular things that are occurring. Let's use, for instance, the example of a married couple where one partner discovers that the other person in that relationship has been unfaithful. They've had sexual relations with another person. In that situation, depending on the beliefs of these individuals about marriage, it may be perceived as a deep betrayal, something that triggers a lot of anger and resentment, while another belief by the person involved in that marriage could lead to very little reaction. There are some relationships and some cultural beliefs, let's say, that would say it's okay for people to have those types of sexual interactions where it's not part of your marriage and there's nothing perceived to be wrong about it. People have what are called open marriages, where they accept that either partner could have relations with someone else even while they're married, and they agree to that, they consent to that type of structure for their relationship. And if those people truly do hold to that belief or value, then they're not going to have the reaction of feeling angry and betrayed if that partner does engage in those extramarital affairs. Thus, it's the deep core beliefs that we have that tend to trigger our emotional reactions. Of course, sometimes what we tell ourselves we believe on the surface, what we consider consciously to be our belief, is not the same as what we believe on a deeper subconscious or unconscious level. Thus, our emotions are a stronger indicator of our unconscious beliefs than they may be of our conscious beliefs, what we tell ourselves that we believe. The emotions are being triggered at a level that goes beyond our conscious awareness. We can start to have an emotional response or reaction to something even before we start to consciously perceive what is occurring. There is an organization called the Institute of Heart Math who did research which showed how we precognitively respond in an emotional manner to stimuli that we are shown. People had a physiological response related to emotions when they were shown particular images, and this occurred before they were even conscious of seeing that image. So this subconscious part of our awareness is always active. It's always exploring this world around us and seeking to respond in what it considers an appropriate way based on those subconscious beliefs, those values that we hold. Some of you may be familiar with the spiritual teacher Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks channeling the consciousness that uses the name Abraham. And they teach about the law of attraction, about the power of intention, about allowing. And one of the things that Abraham teaches about is this emotional guidance system, how our emotional set point, our vibrational state related to emotions, is giving us feedback. In the Abraham teachings, there are a lot of exercises offered to help people change or shift their emotional state. The idea is that we can learn to master our own internal emotional state regardless of what the external circumstances or situations are, so that the creative power is brought to be within us rather than us being reactive and allowing those external circumstances to throw us into lower vibrational or lower emotional states. Those are some useful skills to develop. It is helpful to learn to master your own emotions so that you can use them to create things in your life in a positive, productive way, rather than being at the mercy of old emotional reactions, of things that happen around you that could bring you down into those lower emotional states, into feeling more negative. We have to realize that since emotions are very powerful, they in a sense amplify our intentions, they amplify our thoughts and beliefs. As we come to understand the power of our emotions, how they project and amplify this energy that through the law of attraction, the power of vibration, influences what we're going to experience, to manifest in our lives, we do realize how important it is to master our emotions, to be able to cultivate the more positive, uplifting emotional states, and to really be able to get to the source of what is triggering the lower emotional states, feelings of anger, fear, depression, etc. In order for those emotional states to be triggered, there would have to be some type of belief, some type of idea or expectation about life that's being triggered, in some way activated by what's occurring in our day-to-day experience. What I mean by this is if you have a particular belief that is somehow resistant to whatever is occurring in your life, if you believe things should be a certain way and things are not turning out or manifesting in that way, then you would have that type of negative emotional response. So it's the relationship between those deep unconscious beliefs and what you're perceiving, what you're interpreting in the world around you, that's fostering those emotions. In order to address this, it would be helpful to look at those beliefs, to perhaps see if there's a deeper level of understanding things, another way to look at and perceive life, in which whatever is occurring is something that you can be more content and accepting of, that you can in some way handle without falling back into that unpleasant emotional state. It's not that we shouldn't have negative or unpleasant emotions. It's natural, it's a part of life, it's a part of this feedback system. But we can use those to learn things about ourselves, to look at how we view the world around us, about the beliefs and expectations that we have about life. The more we are able to align our consciousness with the greater truth, with the wisdom of the Creator, the more in peace, the more in harmony we will become with whatever may be occurring in this physical human experience. Thus, when we have those unpleasant feelings, we can use it as a catalyst to work on elevating our consciousness, on shifting to a higher perspective. It's not that there's anything bad or wrong about having the beliefs and perspectives that are triggering those unpleasant feelings, but we have the opportunity to choose something else. We don't have to repeat the same patterns over and over. We don't need to hold on to the identity that we've been experiencing up until now. We are free to evolve free to reach higher levels of awareness and understanding. And our emotions can be used to assist us in that way. They can be catalysts if we're willing to recognize them and to follow them to their source, to where in our consciousness they're being triggered from. This is one valuable aspect of having emotions. They can guide us to look at ourselves, to examine our own consciousness. And then, of course, they are powerful creative tools. Both the pleasant and unpleasant emotions, what people might call positive or negative emotions, are powerful creative forces. We can create with love, with joy and enthusiasm, and we also create with anger, with resentment, with fear, with grief. So all of those emotions are creative forces. They are energy in motion, and that energy does lead to manifestation. For those of us working on our personal growth, it's very valuable to explore these emotions, not to run away from them, not to hide from them or pretend that they're not there. Also, to avoid condemning our own feelings and emotions, to realize that they're a necessary part of our spiritual growth, a part of our experience. When we suppress them, they often just build up and become even stronger, even more intense, and perhaps even more out of control. When we're able to open up, to welcome them, to process them, and to use them to seek a deeper level of understanding, then we are able to benefit more. For those of you that are working on your own personal growth, your own spiritual development, exploring topics related to metaphysics, to psychology, to spirituality, and to holistic healing, I invite you to visit my website at www.phinsights.com. That's www.phinsights.com. And I can also be visited on Facebook. My professional page there is facebook.com/Jedi Holistic Healing. I appreciate each of you for watching this video, and I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.